Happy Tuesday and welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast and your Bears Hard Knocks pregame show. I don't know.
Yes.
Are they doing one of those, a pregame show?
We're doing a post. We're doing CHGO Bears After Dark Hard Knocks edition every show.
So we're the pregame show. Thank you. We will grab that and run with it. Thank you for all the extra added viewers.
I mean, technically there is also a CHGO Bears show in half an hour, but yeah.
Is that kind of like watching The Walking Dead and then watching the show about the show you just watched?
Yes.
No,
yes.
thanks.
Exactly.
I
mean, that sounds like a great idea.
The recap
I
show.
will be tuned in.
I never miss a recap show after my favorite program ever. I never miss it.
I'll be honest. Like
we made a career on talking about games that just happened. So
yeah.
No, but like
You're talking about practice.
We're talking about practice.
I like
Practices that already
Game
happened.
of Thrones when they
2 weeks ago.
do like the Game of Thrones after show, and there's so many characters. Like that kind of shit's helpful sometimes. But
Okay.
I don't know about Hard Knocks.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I could follow Hard Knocks along. Okay, that's Caleb Williams. That's the strikingly handsome Cole Kmet.
He is very
God,
handsome.
he's beautiful.
And that's all I really need to know.
All right. Well, anyway, I'm Jay Zawaski. That's Greg Boysen. Mario Tirabassi's over there.
Hello.
That's Lawrence
Hello.
Benedetto behind the mic, behind the computer, behind the roadcaster.
Yeah.
We got a lot to get to today. We're going to finish up our 5 remaining mailbag questions for Mailbag Monday. A little bit of a slow week, but that's to be expected in the first week of August.
Still waiting on my inaugural video from the Discord.
Yeah, we need a video. If you're in a Discord, send us a video for next week's. And we're also going to get to the front office confidence rankings that were published in The Athletic today. We'll let you know how the Blackhawks fared and talk about how some of the other teams around the league did as well in terms of moving up or down. Before we get to any of that, do us a favor. Hit that like button. Only 18 likes. Come on. We need more than that. Hit that like button for us. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube page as well. And if you're a podcast listener, leave us a 5-star review and make sure you're following or subscribed on your favorite app. And here's a new challenge. If you have a recent favorite episode of the CHGO Blackhawks podcast, why not send it to a friend or two?
Yeah.
And say, hey, think you might enjoy this show.
Yeah, that's
Check
nice.
it out. Do that for us. Share an episode with a friend or 2 or 5 or 10 today. We would appreciate that.
All your friends.
Much appreciated.
All right, Law, shall we tear open the bursting sack o' mail?
Yes.
back open.
It's not as heavy. They only have five left from Mailbag Monday.
Maybe you're just getting stronger.
Or it could be that. That's
Well, I
true.
haven't eaten more.
Let's start with let's go here. Alberto Vitale. Puck
Alberto
Empire
Vitale.
on Instagram projected the Hawks to finish 31st next season. Their main reasons were Hall injury issues, Bertuzzi's inconsistency, Nazar inexperience, and a lack of a true number 1 defenseman. Thoughts, guys?
I don't know who Puck Empire is.
I don't know what Puck Empire
I think it's one of
is.
those aggregate Instagram accounts,
Sure.
a very famous one.
Very
well followed.
So probably not their info. Someone
I mean,
else's.
lack of
It's
a true
someone's
number
just
1
guessing.
defenseman tells me they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, do they have an elite number 1 defenseman? No, but you could say that about 27 teams. Do they have a number 1 defenseman? Yeah.
Yeah. Seth Jones is a number
So
1
right
defenseman.
there, I take whatever they're saying. 31st seems a little low, but it could happen.
I'll give them the Hall injury issues. That's obviously a legitimate concern. Bertuzzi's inconsistency. You could go back and when we were talking pre-free agency, that was one of the things that I said about Tyler Bertuzzi is like, I don't know. Sometimes he's not there, and when he is, he's really effective. But it's too often that he's not there. Hopefully, that's not the case there. And Nazar, if you're throwing him into the NHL this season to be a full-time NHLer, and if the Blackhawks had any worries about his inexperience being a detriment, well, they'll give him experience in Rockford. So I think there's some. obviously there's legitimate concerns about this team. I think them being 31st would mean something has gone pretty wrong because while they're not going to be a playoff team, shouldn't be, I don't think they should be second to last. And
It shouldn't be worse than they were last year.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
And it's going to get a little hairy if they are second to last, and Kyle Davidson is saying that's no longer acceptable because now he's going to have to, put his money where his mouth is in setting that expectation.
Look, I'll say that if they finish 31st, you have serious conversations about firing Luke Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's Taylor Hall. We're all of the mindset of he's going to miss 30 games at least.
You might.
That just kind of feels like even a safe prediction. Like, yeah, at least 30 seems about right for him, right? And sure, you can catch.
Maybe. I don't know. I hate talking about that. I hate talking about a player like that. He will miss half the season.
But the point being is though that they've insulated against that.
Yeah,
they had Taylor Hall miss all but 10 games last year and finish better than 31st. The roster is significantly better. There are a bunch of teams that, I mean, Anaheim, Columbus.
I don't see them going backwards.
Yeah, I don't see them.
Even if you have the Taylor Hall injury, okay, but you're not like replacing him with Rem Pitlick this year, or
exactly.
You don't have Taylor
you got options.
You don't have Taylor Radish wasting a uniform this season. You don't have Boris Kachuk being a passenger most nights, and then every 6th game going, "Hey, look at me, I can play hockey." Like, you've got a better team top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2nd year of Connor Bedard.
Like,
if they go to 31st, unless like everybody in the league like finishes with like 90 points, they have 75 points, but somehow it's still 31st. I don't see how they can go backwards this year. You have a better goaltending tandem.
Yes.
Like Laurent Brossoit is going to give you a 10-point improvement at least on his own from last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Puck Empire is. I don't know if that's a person or if it's a computer, but it's an account that I will not follow.
I'm sure it's someone.
It's trash. It's probably like the.
I don't know enough about it to call it trash.
Well, if it's one of the aggregator sites,
I don't know.
I'm sure it's a clickbaity thingy or not. I don't know. I don't know them, but on
Dove Clayman, the NFL insider. That's not actually a real person.
I'll say this. I go to puckempire.com and it doesn't open up the webpage.
Yeah, the Twitter account has been active since 2020 and has 2,800 followers. And they have a pinned tweet about Marc-Andre Fleury going to the Hawks in 2021. That's their pinned tweet. So they got something right. I want to address what Godfather said in the chat, a few up there, where he said, after the way in multiple games, it seemed like the Hawks were not ready to go at puck drop. Anxious to see how long Davidson stays with Richardson. If you listen to what the Hawks were saying at the end of the year, like basically the entire leadership team, they, without naming names, were calling out a lot of guys who just weren't ready to play. And you can coach them till they're red in the face. You could put Scotty Bowman behind the bench, but if you got 4 or 5 guys who just don't give a shit and are not interested in playing hard or playing the right way, no coach in the world is going to get them to be ready to go. Now, like I said, if they do finish 31st or 30th or 29th, and there's not a significant improvement in the standings and not significant development from your young players, I do think they will consider firing Luke Richardson. But nothing we've seen from Luke Richardson indicates that he needs to be fired yet. There's nothing I see from him that says, oh, no, this guy just simply can't do this job.
I mean, the last 2 years, you couldn't really judge him too much based on roster construction. The first year, you tore it down. And by the end of the year, you had a whole lot of nothing, but they were ready to play. Everybody was like, oh, look at this. He's got Buddy Robinson playing hard every night. Like, there's nobody on this team, but they're playing hard. And then the following year, a little better roster, but then it just gets completely eviscerated with injuries. This year, he has, the best roster he's had as an NHL head coach. He even admitted himself he's going to change the way he practices during the season, the way they do things. He's learning on the job too.
Right.
So he's developing as a head coach as these players are developing. So this should be the first year that you really can start judging what you see from Luke Richardson, because this is the most talent he's going to have to work with. It's going to be the deepest team. Now, granted, they have to stay healthy for the whole season for that to really pan out. But if it's another season where they finish, even with the improved roster, and they finish with 52, 55 points again, well, then you can have that discussion on saying what is going on here that just isn't working. And then you try and revisit it. But hopefully we don't have to worry about that.
And the other thing
should be a 70 to 80 point team this year.
The other thing, too, that kind of stuck with me from Luke at the end of the year was him saying, like, look, we had so many new players coming in all the time because of the unprecedented injuries we had that I wasn't really able to implement things I wanted to because we had to get so many guys just, like, up to speed. Like, here are the basics of what we're doing, and not to compare coaching youth softball to coaching pro hockey, but when you have 3 or 4 girls on your softball team that have never put a mitt on before, you have to spend more time with them saying, that's where second base is. This is how you hold a bat. Meanwhile, your more experienced players are getting held back. It's apples and oranges, obviously, but when Luke Richardson and his staff have to get Rem Pitlick and Zach Sanford and Anthony Beauvillier and all these guys who are brought in just to fortify the roster,
right?
He can't then go spend time with Bedard and Foligno and those guys and say, all right, now we're going to take the next step in our system. The whole year was getting guys caught up just so they can play in the very bare bones system they had. So excuses are gone next season, though. No one is saying playoffs are bust. I don't think that's the expectation.
If you are saying
Kyle
that,
Davidson,
you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, no, I don't think Kyle Davidson's saying that, but there has to be a marked improvement from this team. And I think if things go the way we're sort of predicting them to, there probably will be. We're talking pretty confidently about a 15-point improvement, which is pretty significant.
At least.
Yeah. All right.
Okie doke. Let's go back to the mailbag. Here's another one that you guys should like. Actually, let's go here. It is from, what am I doing here? From Gregory at Texas Rollerhawk on the Twitters.
Oh, thanks for the question, Greg.
I only use that name when I'm in trouble.
Are players
filling out an application
more or
for
less superstitious today? What weird routines and pregame stuff have you seen or heard about? Can you break down hockey terminology? Jargon is getting crazy with these kids nowadays. That's two questions.
Two loaded questions.
Two very loaded questions.
I don't know if guys are more or less superstitious now. I think it's
a little stitious.
A little stitious, yeah. I think it just goes player to player. Like, you know, we've heard crazy stories of, like, you know, all the things that Corey Perry has gone through with his superstitions. He might be one of the most superstitious guys that you'll ever meet in the NHL. And then, you know, you got a guy like Bedard who doesn't let anybody touch his stick except everyone does before the game.
Yeah.
They just don't tell him about it. So yeah, I don't know if guys are more or less nowadays. I will say though, like, you start to see, you know, you see in pregame warmups and stuff, guys do their own stick handling, warm-up drills, going to the specific spots on the ice to, you know, stretch or whatever. Like, each guy has his own thing, whether it's, you know, something he has to eat or has to do, or, you know, he's got to put his gear on in a certain way. And some guys are just like, whatever. I just go out and play off the field.
I think it's probably more routine than superstition.
Superstition, yeah, I think. But yeah, I mean, I know guys have done, you know, you hear those stories all the time. If you eat a certain pregame meal and you have a hat trick that night, you're going to eat that meal every night the rest of the game, you know, series. Or if you use a certain, you know, put your left sock on, then your left skate, then your right. Like, I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff, but, you know, I'd see more of creatures of habit than being superstitious.
Yeah.
I just think hockey players are just so pre-programmed that, like, you practice at 10:30, you go home, you take your nap, you come back from the rink, you eat, you play the game, you go to bed, all that stuff, to where when they do have kind of like those weird, you know, 11 a.m. starts or stuff, everybody kind of gets thrown out. They don't like it because they're just so set in their ways. It's more of routine than superstitions, I think. But maybe that's something we can do during training camp. Get some some video on, ask guys what their biggest superstition is, and we can put it out there.
Yes.
It's a nice, fun social media video.
And then there was also the question about terminology. I'd have to know specifically what you mean. Are you talking about like when guys call it
Mugs.
salad or like
The con Smitty.
yeah, like that
Yeah.
sort of stuff? Maybe.
God,
I don't know.
Make me want to barf.
All right, more of your mailbag questions coming up next. But first, we want to tell you about our friends at Coors Light because life is stressful these days, and pretty much every day it is unrelenting stress. And sometimes you just need to choose chill. And when it's time to choose chill, then it is time to reach for a Coors Light. It is the perfect beer to chill, to lay back, to kick back. I know I'm going to crack one open ahead of Hard Knocks tonight. It's going to be great. It is mountain cold refreshment. You know that by now. And when those mountains turn blue on your Coors Light bottle or can, clap your hands. It's as cold as the Rockies. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. When you embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. And sometimes when you're sitting on a couch about to watch your show and you're like, damn it, I'm out of beer. Guess what? You can get it delivered to your house right now with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO hockey. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Yep. Got my Coors Light can right here.
It is
Super
very
blue.
cold.
Super blue. Well,
Nice
I got ice cold refreshment inside. It's delicious.
Those are almost purple.
Yeah, it's freezing my fingertips. Hey, if you need to hire, you need Indeed. They're driven by the search for better, and when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search, but it is rather to match, and to match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed because they are your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors. That's according to Indeed's data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. You can ditch the busy work by using Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. So what you want to do is go to Indeed.com/AllCity, and listeners of this show are going to get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility. Again, that's Indeed.com/AllCity, and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this here CHGO Blackhawks podcast. Again, Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Before we move on, I think I'd like to have Mario read this message from Young Dangle God because I think it's going to be easier than me doing it. So go ahead, Mario. It's up to you. This is of course the jargon I believe we're talking about.
Bedsy is wrapping his twig with, what the hell is that?
Zinachino?
Upper Decky, while Nazar is at Pracky saucing Biskies to Korch, who's ripping it Bardowski and Reich's grocery sticks while he watches from the pine.
Okay.
You're welcome.
That was terrible.
I don't know what any of that means, but
I hated
cool.
that.
I read the grocery stick one. I think is like you're the
Grocery stick is
guy
when
on the bench who like divides the lines because you never move.
You're the player between the forwards and the defenseman on the bench.
Yeah, because you never get off the bench.
Mm-hmm. It's like when you
I got a couple of those.
It's like when you put the stick down at the grocery store and say,
Yeah.
this is my stuff.
Bardowski is hitting the
that's
crossbar.
a grocery stick.
That's okay. I get that now. All right.
It's just
The rubber bar.
it's
on
more
the
creative than it
conveyor
needs to be. It's just
Some of it's fine, but it just, man, yeah, as BJD says, like the hockey players from Letterkenny are not caricatures. Those are
Yes.
real
Yeah,
people
no,
that exist.
If you
all
ever
over North
want to know
America.
what it's like to be in a hockey locker room, Letterkenny hits it.
And
Shorzy
Mhm.
hits it on the head.
Yep.
It is not that's not parody. That's real life.
It's not exaggeration.
just imagine being like a first, like, I picked up hockey late and I'm on my first team as like a 14, 15-year-old and I walk into a room and that's the jargon. You're just like, what?
Oh yeah.
you guys all have-
What is
Lost.
anyone saying?
Did you guys all have strokes? What is going on here?
Yeah.
Can you scroll back up to his his script there. I had a question. What was it? Okay.
What is a
What is a Zinachino upper decky? Is that when you poop in the top of the toilet?
That's what I thought.
That's
at,
what I
at an
thought.
Italian restaurant.
after your post meal
After too much
cappuccino.
zucchini.
Is that Zin like the Zin packs?
I mean,
Is that what
that's
they call them?
Probably.
That,
yeah.
I did see.
Zinachino?
Pete
All right.
Blackburn talking about those.
I got a couple. I know twig is obviously stick. Saucing is like a nice pass or
It's
a pass that
that's
leaves
off
the
the
ice,
ice.
like a sauce pass.
Bisky is a
pass.
puck.
Yeah,
like
Bisky's
biscuits.
puck.
Biscuit,
Yeah.
is that biscuits?
Bardowski is hitting the crossbar
Zin
down.
nicotine
Yes, so it
pouches in the
is.
upper lip. There you go. There's
Okay,
your
there
explanation.
you go. Thank you, young dangle
All right.
god.
It's not, it's not pooping in the
Is he going to be our hockey bro
It
correspondent?
could be.
It's amazing.
I like it.
Please.
That feels like one of those like school exercises when it would be like
Oh yeah, with the pictures.
the-
Every
Why
like
would you-
four
it'd be like
words.
Upper lip
be like a thesaurus kind of thing.
Why would you upper lip a zin? Don't you when you dip or whatever? Don't you put in your lower lip?
You can do upper.
Why would you upper lip it?
Easier to hide, maybe.
Is it?
Because you could stick it in your mouth guard and it doesn't go anywhere.
I don't know.
It goes
Yeah,
closer to your brain.
could be.
I don't know.
Oh, maybe maybe
Yeah,
it
faster
absorbs
faster to your brain.
This
Yeah,
is exactly how they.
I weep for the future.
This is exactly how the American intelligence in World War II broke the Nazis' code and won the war.
There we go.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like a code breaker.
I feel like Nicholas.
Well, that was
Nicholas
fun.
Cage in the Code Breakers.
All right.
Okay, let's go back
Cleanse
to
the palate.
to the
My head
mailbag.
hurts.
Here we go. Here's a good one that you guys are going to love. From Chris DeBlasi. Now that it's August, let's revisit the Seth Jones Dougie Hamilton debate, where each player would leave the Hawks today.
Why?
Let's not.
Because it's
Oh.
August.
I was on the Dougie Hamilton bus there at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go to the old hockey reference.
Well, I don't like Dougie Hamilton because he is a
grown man that goes by Dougie.
he is a 30-something, 31-year-old grown man that still insists on being called Dougie.
What's your stance on Scottie Pippen?
He won 6 championships. When Dougie Hamilton wins 6 championships, he could call him whatever he wants.
You got one.
But remember when there was that video of Kate Upton doing the Dougie?
So just 20 games last year, 5 goals, 16 points for old Douglas Hamilton.
16 points in 20 games is pretty good, though.
Right. I
16
mean,
and 20. Yeah, that's not bad.
60 and 82 would have been better, but only playing 20 kind of part of the reason
can't
that
find
the
it here.
Devils kind of stunk last year. The year before, very good. 22 goals, 74 points in 82 games. I mean, he's definitely a better offensive defenseman than Seth Jones, but give me Seth Jones' defense over Dougie Hamilton's defense any day of the week.
I would think so.
That was the 21-22 season that they started.
Yes. And Hamilton has a higher cap hit of $9 million.
No, Jones is 9.5.
Oh, that's right.
Jones
I'm
is-
bad.
yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm,
So
I'm
that
confused
was
by the
part of
salary.
the outrage was most Hawks fans wanted Dougie Hamilton over Seth Jones, and then Seth Jones signed for more than Dougie Hamilton did. And wasn't Hamilton a UFA?
Hamilton was
So you wouldn't have
have
had to
been a
trade for
UFA
him?
signing,
Right.
whereas Jones was the trade.
And you could have just signed him.
Yeah. All right,
I get
so-
that.
Since that first 21-22 season, Seth has played more games, 217 to 164.
So it's significantly a lot more.
He's got 10 more points, 94 to 84. 10 more assists, 11 fewer goals. Dougie Hamilton has 1 more point, 120 to Seth's 119. So even though he played more than 50 fewer games, he has 1 more point. Seth is a minus 90. Dougie's a minus 4.
No. Hamilton's also playing on a better team.
Right. Hamilton's playing on better teams. Seth has more shots on goal, and they have the same amount of Stanley Cups. 0.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie. I prefer Dougie Hamilton to Seth Jones. For all the reasons listed. I think he's a better player. He's $500,000 cheaper, and he was a free agent.
Yeah,
but you also need the guy to want to come here. And who knows if Sam Bowman Did he even reach out? I don't know. Maybe Dougie Hamilton's
No
like, I don't
idea.
want to play in Chicago.
Yeah.
I want to be in the Eastern Conference. Okay.
It's Dougie Hamilton's the kind of guy I hope the Blackhawks get at some point, and maybe they will have them. Maybe
Sure.
Korchinski or Levshunov develop into an offensive threat like that. But I think I don't know. It's hard to compare the two guys. Yes, they play the same position, but they're not the same type of player.
Right.
So if you want more defense, you take Seth Jones. If you want more offense and have a little more liability out there, you take Dougie Hamilton. I guess it depends on which one fits your team better and which one fills a bigger need that you need. As going forward, I hope the Hawks get at least one elite offensive defenseman. They're trying to get those through the draft as opposed to paying for them on the open market, which will cost you
a
$9
lot.
to $10 million a year.
A lot of money. Yeah.
Seth Jones, by the way, is 29. Dougie Hamilton is 31.
There you go.
Yeah.
Seth will be 30 on October 3rd, though.
Yeah.
So they're a year. He's a year older.
have a
basically.
You want to
birthday party
hope
for him.
that any of Levshunov, Korchinski, or Rinzel become that next like top offensive option defensively.
It's a lot cheaper to try and develop your own guy like that than to go out and get one on the open market because those guys don't hit the open market very often.
Or to have to trade for one.
Right.
All right.
All right. You kind of brought this up a little bit earlier. This is from Andrew Neve. Now that he has a much improved team, do they think they changed the system, like how they defend, etc.? I believe that's about.
I don't think so.
No,
Luke.
the system isn't complicated. I think what we're talking about is adding things to it. You know, having
Intricacies.
what's that? I'm sorry.
Intricacies.
Yeah, right. Like, okay, now you've got the base. Think of it. If I know a lot of people just since football is more popular, you imagine your basic 4-3 defense, and everyone understands how a 4-3 or a 3-4 works. Now you're adding in line stunts and blitzes and deceptions and things like that. It's not the same, but you're taking the base of the system and you're adding to it. You're making it, adding complications to it to make it a little more
I think you can have
unpredictable.
a few new wrinkles out there, a few more set play, off of face because you have a more veteran team. You went from being one of the youngest teams to being, in the top half as far as you have a lot more experience out there, guys. You can give a lot more to, so you could probably have a few more wrinkles, but you're not gonna. I don't think he's gonna. Luke, pronouns pal. Luke Richardson is going to, completely redo everything. He's not going to reinvent the wheel. I mean, it's still hockey. There's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
And
It's still everybody's playing the same game. You just try different little things based on what you have. So as long as he's building his system around what fits his players as opposed to trying to make his players fit his crazy system,
Yes.
i.e. Jeremy Colleton, you should be fine.
yeah, we're not too far removed from someone who was trying to reinvent the wheel of how to play hockey with a team that couldn't play it that way. So
Not many could.
I think, yeah. So I think with Richardson, it's basically just getting back to. I mean, his first year was a lot of just the guys that were here from college, carried over from Colleton. It was basically just get back to instinctive hockey, just get back to doing that, and then moving forward with like Jay, like you were saying, get your base level going, and then I think now that some of the guys have been here for a number of years, Richardson's been around, his coaching staff has been around for a few seasons. Things should be pretty easy to hit the ground running in training camp with, because some of these guys have been playing this system for a few years now, playing within these with the expectations from the coaching staff for a few years, and some of the guys from Rockford too. They're doing the same thing in Rockford that they're doing here in Chicago. So it shouldn't be too hard of a system to get going right away. And then so long as everyone's healthy, you can keep these guys together and keep them in a flow at the start of the season. Then you can maybe start throwing in a couple more of those little tweaks that make it a little bit different from every other team in the NHL.
Agreed.
All right. So when we come back from this here, a little short break, we're going to get to the organizational confidence rankings from The Athletic today. Talk about how Hawks fans feel about the Blackhawks leadership.
All right, but before we do that, I want to tell you about our new pals over at Rugged Road. Rugged Road, what is that, you may ask? Well, Rugged Road is dedicated to create an innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the absolute best. Their products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions. Whether you're on land or water, Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. One of the most unique features of Rugged Road coolers is their ability to always float upright.
Hey,
so you will never lose a drink. Unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising on performance. Crafted to handle the toughest environments, their coolers are built to last, ensuring they could keep up with any adventure. The coolers are guaranteed to keep their contents cool for up to 7 days, but oftentimes much longer than that.
Nice.
Perfect for a variety of outdoor activities from fishing and tubing to camping and tailgating. These coolers are designed to meet the needs of every outdoor or sports enthusiast. I bet you Indiana Jones would have loved a Rugged Road cooler. Kept seeing adventures. That's what I think of. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use the promo code CHGO at checkout, and they're going to give you 10% off your cooler.
That's a good deal. You know what else is a good deal? Going to a CHGO golf event
Sure is.
at Cog Hill, especially if you're a diehard, you're going to save 20%. Our Kickoff Classic is coming up August 23rd, 2024 U.S. on course number 2 at Cog Hill out in Lamont. It's a 9 a.m. shotgun start presented by the Big Drive Energy Podcast and, of course, us here at CHGO. We just had our Cookout Classic at St. Andrews in West Chicago. It was a great time.
Grill was fired. Never mind.
Fantastic all-around event, and this one at Cog Hill is going to be great. Right in time for the Bears season to get underway. So sign up. Our spots are running out.
Yep.
And I know places always say that, like, oh, hurry up and get your tickets before they're gone.
We actually mean it.
Because we've only sold 2. We actually mean it. If
Yeah.
you're trying to get in to this, to the Kickoff Classic, you need to act quickly because foursomes are forming up now.
Mm-hmm.
So get in there, do it. Go to allchgo.com to sign up. Again, if you've been waiting to become a diehard, this is a good opportunity, a good reason, because you'll save 20% on this event. There's foursomes available. There's whole sponsorships available. All the info is right there on our event page at allchgo.com. We'd love to see you out there. And, of course, we've got the White Sox takeover for the upcoming game against the Cubs.
Amazing.
It's a big one.
Could be an amazing game.
It could be an historic event.
My buddy sent me a text saying that if they keep losing until that night of the takeover and they set the record, there's going to be a fireworks show after that, no matter what. It's a fireworks night.
I heard a rumor that fireworks were getting nixed for that night.
You can't do that. That's like literally the only reason most of those people are going to be there.
Well, if you want to go and potentially witness history, that is August 9th, which is Friday, 5 o'clock. The tailgate begins. The pregame meetup at Turtles, and then everybody heads into the game together. And again, stay after for fireworks. And again, diehard save on this event. So you might say, why do I want to go to a White Sox game? They're horrible. They're historically terrible. I don't want to support this team. Well, at least you get to hang out with cool people. You get to see the Sox and Cubs play each other.
Yeah,
it's a crosstown takeover.
Yeah, you get bragging rights or something.
Yeah,
this year
you get to eat good food.
Yeah, good food, good people, good times, and you know what? It is kind of fun.
Those $40 milkshakes they keep talking about.
Yeah, it is fun to be in a game that you're not really invested in. Just out enjoying the night, enjoying the ballpark. The Sox do great fireworks and great food, and that's about it. But head on out there and enjoy the night. That is Friday, August 9th. Go out there. Cubs, Sox, great time, allchgo.com. Windy City Hockey says, how do you add the diehard discount? When you go to chgo.com, there is a diehard tab. Then you go to diehard events. You have to be logged in to get to that page, and then that will give you your access code for the event. So it's there is a separate diehard event page. That's where diehards access all the sales. So jump in there, go do it, and we hope to see you out at Guaranteed Rate Field.
Right on. We had a super chat.
Yes.
This is from Brandon Eric. And it's $1.99. Says, does Rinzel go pro after this season?
I would think
After this season,
so.
yeah, I would think so.
Maybe not Chicago, but pro.
Yeah, pro. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he'll. I think he'll. I think whenever Minnesota season ends, he'll probably sign that. What is it? Probably like a 2-year, 2 or 3, probably a 2-year ELC. I think if he's at an age requirement, and then it'll burn that first year by signing it basically at the end of the season. And then probably playing Rockford. Yeah, I think that would probably be the case. Wouldn't be shocked if both him and Oliver Moore do the same thing at the end of the season this year. But Rinzel, I mean, he's a year older, even though it is his second year of college. So he's a little bit further down in the physical development. As he's getting older, more mature. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he does.
I'm sure both of those guys, though, as excited as they are to that prospect of turning pro, I'm sure neither of them wouldn't be too upset if they didn't get to play in the NHL this year because the Gophers made the Frozen Four. Which
Right,
would be
yeah.
I'd be pretty happy about
the
that.
regular
Yeah, and
season.
that'll be the expectation.
And
for
a
that
great way to
school.
end that college career.
Yeah,
Sure.
right.
All right. Do we have one more?
Yeah, we have one
Okay,
more
one more. My
question in the mailbag, and then we'll get to our convo. And I think this will dovetail nicely. This is from Damaged Lightning. It's a two-parter, or at least a two-tweeter. It says, we saw Kyle Davidson try to be aggressive by trading for the 4th overall pick in this past draft. Demidov, shout out. After reading Ben Pope's article on the lack of a second star forward on this roster, it has me thinking. The Hawks have 2 firsts and 2 seconds in next year's draft. If the Hawks finish outside the top 5, do you think he would package those picks and get that second star forward? Frendell or Misa would be great answers for second center on this team.
Well, if they're outside the top 5, that's okay because they're probably not going to be outside the top 12.
Right.
Like I don't think they'll need to go over the top and giving up extra firsts just to move up a couple spots to get it. I don't know. I don't think that they're going to get that crazy.
As we learned while this past draft, trying to get that 4th overall pick, it takes that team in the 4th or 3rd spot willing to give up that pick. Mm-hmm. And most of the time a team is drafting top 5. They're not willing to give up those picks. You rarely ever see top 5 picks traded. So it takes, Kyle Davidson has shown that he's aggressive and willing to go for what he wants. He tried to trade up to get Oliver Moore last year, and he fell down to him where he didn't have to.
Right.
He traded up into, from 20 to 18 this year and then traded in to get a 3rd pick this year, tried to get 4th overall. So he tries.
Aggressive. Yep.
But he couldn't get some of those things done because there's not another team on the other end of that phone willing to do it.
I'm going to invent a saying here.
It takes 2 teams to trade?
No.
It takes 2 to tango?
How'd you know?
I
literally just invented that in my brain.
2
And
to
you
tango.
just stole it.
So did I.
Yikes.
Takes 2 to tango.
Well, I still got Mailbag Monday. I invented that.
You can hang your hat on that.
No one's ever done that before. All right. Well,
I like what Change the Logo says. Why would we trade back from 1st overall? Because I think he means Toronto's, right?
well, the
We're gonna
draft
have-
is rigged, so
Yeah, we're gonna
everyone
get
knows
that.
See,
that.
this would be a fun year. You finish 9th worst, and then you win the lottery.
Let's
Just to
go.
Get
Good.
everybody's.
Let's go.
Just get everybody upset.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
That would be
but giving
great.
him Bedard and Celebrini is a little too on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had to hide it this year and say, well, all right,
Let him
Garden,
finish
we're going to
ninth.
give you 1-2-1 instead of 1-1.
Let him finish 9th, and then win the lottery, or finish 2nd again. That'd be fun too.
Well, and Giggity's that just brings to this point. Pat Verbeek would do it. He's nuts enough. Yar.
Maybe.
You should try trading with him
Yeah,
instead.
true with it. He's never picking on the board.
Yeah.
He's never picking the guy everyone thinks he should. That's a guy who has to be willing to trade down.
Well, that's what they
all the
went.
time.
They went with Senecki.
Even
when
Snecki was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said.
Huh? Me?
Good thing Jeff Merrick told the production truck so they could get that reaction.
Yeah. It cost him his job.
Oh, Lord. All right.
It was worth
Yeah.
it.
It was. It was a good moment. Just like, who's our parents that were making out?
Oh, I forget.
Gave
who
the
it
deep
was.
tongue kiss after the draft pick was made?
was that Maverick Lamoureux?
I don't know.
That's
One of them.
NHL parents make out draft pick.
They
Yeah,
bet,
it was a Coyotes pick, I think.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Maverick Lamoureux.
I
You're
bet
right.
you there is an upside down pineapple on the welcome mat of the Lavereau house.
Their garage doors half open. Isn't that the other telltale sign of
There's
swingers?
a flamingo on the front lawn and an upside down pineapple in the window. Those who know.
All right. Now let's get to the NHL front office confidence poll. This is The Athletic does this every year. They quiz fan base, not quiz, but they poll fan bases on how they're feeling about their team. So I think, did we all fill this out on our own when it came out? I know I did.
I submitted.
So you fill out your, I'm trying to remember. You identify which team you are a fan of.
You can either do all 32, which if you have nothing to do with your day, go
yeah,
for
I did
it.
not do that.
Or you can do it for one team specifically.
Right.
Yeah.
So they have the public grade and the fan base grade.
Mhm.
Should be a surprise to no one that the number one team on this list is the Florida Panthers.
Right.
What? The team that just won the Stanley Cup?
Usually-
Nobody's mad at their front office?
They're an A+ from both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's pretty good.
C+ in draft and development. That might come back to haunt you in a couple of years, but right now
Nah,
things
who
are
cares?
great.
They're fine.
Who
Get a
cares
couple
right
cups
now?
and you buy
Yeah,
some credit.
They're good.
Number 2 is Dallas. Number 3, Tampa. Just giving it a top 5 here. Number 4
Tampa
is
3
Utah.
is still a little Utah. Sorry, man. I'm going to go on a little rant here. Pardon the
Ooh, go for
interruption, but this whole Utah love all of a sudden they're this organization that knows. I know they don't have a complete con grifter shithead running the team anymore,
Right.
but all of a sudden now they're just like this well-run, great organization. They're 4th best front office. Come on.
Well, our
They're
friends
going to be a playoff team next year. Probably not.
Our friends at PHNX always talk about Bill Armstrong, too, in very glowing terms. But I think, and look, they know it better than I do, and I'm not questioning our friends there.
Yeah, Bill invited him over for Christmas.
Right. Like, part of that, though, has to
mean-
be subconsciously, and I think we fall victim to it, too, is the access
Mhm.
and the personal relationships, right? So maybe you have a little bit of an insider understanding of how things work or what they're thinking, or you just have
This
a personal
is like
relationship.
league-wide. All of a sudden, there's all this Utah Hockey Club love.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, to
Well,
your
they traded
point,
for Sergachev,
okay.
which it's a
sure.
good trade. There's no doubt
It
about
is
it.
a good trade,
But it's not like
they're not-
they
they're
didn't
not
trade
a-
for Nathan McKinnon.
yeah, but to your point, Greg, you started it off with they don't have the ownership group that
sure.
previously was
We don't know.
screwing
We don't
over
know
the
that
Coyotes.
we don't know that this new ownership is going to be any better.
No, but the unknown is better than the known in this scenario, and I think that's what people are hinging a lot of their faith in this on, is that you can't be worse than Morello, and you hope that they're not. And I feel like the moves that we saw at the
Always
draft,
be worst.
the moves that we saw at the draft and at free agency, I think signal a ownership group and a management group that knows, like, hey, we need to put a competitive product out there, not only being an expansion, or not expansion, a relocated team, a new team in a new market, but also because their rebuilding is starting to kind of turn that corner. They have a lot of good young prospects coming up, and they were a team that kind of overperformed last year, and I think a lot of people, especially now with the moves that they made, probably see that ascent coming. So going from the way that the front office and the ownership was working together and was running the Coyotes to so far what we've seen with Utah, which is going out and making moves to try and win, that's an improvement already.
Well, they had an 80% more public change in confidence and a 71% change in confidence over last year. And I get that. When you get rid of the awful owner, you should feel better. Let's see.
Think about Bulls fans and Sox fans if and when Reinsdorf is no longer owning the team.
Okay, I get that change, but let's see where this confidence is next year. Because now there should be more pressure on Bill Armstrong and his front office and their matching suits, because you can't use bad ownership as an excuse anymore.
Exactly.
Show me.
Yep.
Show me all these young players that you supposedly have coming that are going to be great. Get them to the NHL and start winning.
Well, and the other thing that needs to be seen too is, and this was a
Say that
issue
about
in
the
Arizona,
Blackhawks, too.
and
show me these guys and start winning.
Well, but it's the other thing too is how appealing is Utah as a free agent destination, and while it's hard to say that guys didn't want to go play for the Coyotes. Guys probably didn't want to go play for the Coyotes because of how horribly it was run,
Right.
and they'd heard stories from other players and horror stories and all those sort of things.
You have to pick
I
up
think
your own
Arizona
tab at the
as a
hotel.
market for a hockey player is like, hell yes. To be in the
Sure.
warmth all year round, to play golf all year round, that sounds amazing.
Imagine the cost of living in Salt Lake City is pretty minuscule compared to here or New York.
I would
or
imagine
Los
so.
An-
But that's what we got to see is, are players going to be enthusiastic about moving to Utah, which is a place that probably a lot of them don't have a ton of experience with.
Right.
Probably not.
So we'll see. I mean, look, but they'll travel there this year and get a good look, and then maybe next season they do become a free agent.
I didn't mean to interrupt your top
No, you're
five
fine.
there, but
Number 5 is Vancouver.
which surprises me too. They were 30th last year, now they're 5th.
It's amazing what a good season can do.
Well,
I mean, just remember they were
see when they come back to earth a little bit this year what happens.
Yeah, but before last season, it was, should the Hawks trade for Brock Besser or Connor Garland? Because it seemed like those guys were destined to be traded before the season began. Even like late leading up to the season, in the preseason, that was a conversation. Then all of a sudden, like, oh, this team's pretty damn good. Thatcher Demko is good. Quinn Hughes is amazing. Like,
Well, they finally picked a direction.
yeah, yes, exactly.
I think that probably has a lot to do with it because people didn't know, like, are they trying to rebuild or no? Now they're giving JT Miller all this money and they traded Bo Horvat. Like, what are they really trying to do here? Now they kind of were like, okay, we've got a coach that can win now. We've got a team that, is a contender-ish. Let's go for it. So I guess, but it's still crazy that, like, it just seems weird that Vancouver Canuck fans are happy with their front office. It's just, I didn't think that was allowed.
It's a weird thing. Yes, it's a weird place to be. All right, so let's get to the Hawks. The Hawks come in at number 12 on this list. Here are the public scores: roster building C+, cap management B-, draft and develop B, trading C+, free agency B-, vision B, total B-. The fan base says a B- in roster building, B in cap management, B in draft and develop, a C+ in trading, what? A B- in free agency, a B+ in vision, and a B total overall score. The public change in confidence has gone up 47%, 61% from the fan base increase. So I get most of these. The trading thing,
Trading one, I don't
I
understand.
don't, where is a loss for Kyle Davidson in the trade department?
I mean, I if people maybe are mad that he traded Patrick Kane and
Could
didn't
be.
get the haul, but you can't get
You're
a
limited to
haul when
one
you're only
team.
negotiating with one team who just
Right.
traded away their first round pick for Vladimir Tarasenko
The
2 weeks earlier because Patrick Kane wouldn't make up his mind.
Right.
The
So-
DeBrincat trade wasn't the franchise ruining return that it was said to potentially have been. That could be a thing, but again, you're talking about you're still talking about moves that were necessary in part of the vision for what the team's trying to do. But yeah, I mean, I can't say that he's ever been hosed on a deal or anything like that. So I don't know. The trading thing, sure. I think maybe some of that is looking at one trade and being like, you traded Patrick Kane, you monster, and you get an F. Like,
Yeah.
that could skew it to where other people might see, the smaller moves that he made. Getting, you traded almost nothing and you got Jason Dickinson.
You got a second
second-
round pick to take Jason
take
him.
Dickinson.
Exactly.
You got
You
a
got a first
first
to
round
take
pick,
Mrazek.
Mrazek. Yes, you got 2 first round picks for Brandon Hagel.
You turned Kirby Doc into Frank Nazar and Gavin Hayes.
Yeah, I mean
It's not bad.
you talk about the DeBrincat trade not being the franchise ruining thing, but
Well, the Senators
mean,
will do
the
that on their own.
the Senators, I'm sure, would rather have Kevin Korchinski.
Those 3 picks back.
It was Kevin Korchinski, Paul Ludwinski, and I can't think of the third one that happened.
It was
last-
it Mustard? Because it was in this year's pick. It was a first,
fourth in 2023.
a fourth. So it might have been
Anthony Tony saying Hayes. Is that right?
That
No,
was
Hayes-
Nazar and Hayes for Doc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, DeBrincat, sorry.
yeah.
Moving on.
DeBrincat was Korchinski, Ludwinski, and
I'm looking up that fourth round pick right
was it
now.
2023 or was it?
2023.
Oh, I thought it was.
according to
2023 fourth. Did they have a 4th round pick?
Did it maybe get traded later on for something?
Was that
or
Ferrand?
It was Fran, but this doesn't say it's from the.
No, I think it was I think it was a 2024 pick.
Then Hockey Reference has their.
I think it was a 2024 pick.
Hockey Reference has it wrong. Then
you asses.
I'm sure they would much rather have Kevin Korchinski and Paul Ludwinski in their system than nothing, which is what they have. From
Yes, that
Alex
would be better.
DeBrincat. But the trades have been fine. Like he's gotten some really good value. He's getting a lot. Now it'll be interesting when he's on the other way around. Like he's been dealing with a lot of the leverage because he has things other people want, and when you have things people want, you have more leverage. Now when he's on the other side of that coin. When now they're trying to acquire things to help them, how good does he do there? Does he give up too much to get a rental player? Does he do, does he trade away a prospect for an aging vet that gives you nothing down the stretch, and then that prospect becomes a Hart Trophy winner? Like,
yeah.
But again,
time will tell.
So far, so good
though.
far,
Like,
right?
Because again, one of the boxes to check was this summer of can he attract top free agents to the team?
Mm-hmm.
He got 2 of the top. I'll be conservative and say top 10 forward free agents, probably top 5 or 7 with Bertuzzi and Tavo.
Yeah.
Then he brings in Maroon, Craig Smith, not huge demand guys, but they'd have limited markets, but markets.
Yeah.
Alec Martinez. TJ Brody, like he brought in some
Brossoit.
legitimate talent. Yeah, Brossoit, probably the best goalie available.
Best backup, at least.
Yeah, and he brings him in. So now the last sort of test is, well, there's 2. How does he develop these prospects he's drafted? And can he land the big free agent fish?
Mm-hmm.
But when Chicago puts the money out to land that free agent fish, they usually get it.
Yeah.
Because guys want to play here. And I know people don't, we talk about this a lot. We know people don't hear every show. Yeah, maybe they're not in position to win right now, but when you're talking about veteran guys looking ahead to the bulk of their career, the next 7-8 years of their career, they need to look at, I'm going to have a family. Will my kids have a good school to go to? Is there a good hockey program around here? What are the living conditions for my family and I? Where can I live? Is it proximity to the rink? Availability of rink? Training staff? Dietitians? All those things. The Hawks check all these boxes. They're among the top.
Quality of the amenities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In terms of assets for players in their day-to-day life, the Hawks are at or near the top of the league in all those categories. So when you're looking at a guy who's 27, 28 saying, all right, this is my chance to sign that big contract and change my family's life, Chicago is a very appealing destination.
Mm-hmm.
Not and aside from the fact that it's Original Six, which does still matter to hockey players. It's a world-class city. It's got everything you need. The only tiebreaker would be as you look around at equal sort of teams, Rangers, Leafs, go through the Original Six, and some of the other Colorados, some of the more prestigious teams in the league. That's where the opportunity to win comes in.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the way the Hawks have rebuilt so far, it's very easy to see a path towards winning.
Yeah,
with this system.
I think that's why the grade on the vision is relatively high.
Yeah,
especially
B from the public and B plus from the fans.
From the fan base. Like it is like the blueprint is there. It's there to kind of follow and see. Being laid out, the vision's becoming more clear than when Davidson first took over. So yeah, I think people are starting to buy into it even more now. I think everything is still going in the right direction. I think even if it's kind of like the stock market, which is in the headlines today these days. Even though it's all going up, even if there's ups and downs, it's all still going this way.
Right.
So, as much as it's just like, oh my God, it crashed. It's like, yeah, but it went right back up.
It dropped to where it's still higher than it was at any point 5 years
Right.
ago.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So the future for this team, it was low, it's higher than it was, and you got to ride the wave or hop on the ride, as someone has said before.
Yeah,
and it was AJ Spellacy was
that was the
third round pick this year
third round
from the Ottawa Senators. So Korchinski, Ludwinski, and Spellacy.
Oh, they needed to take another ski.
Almost.
Ski trade. So I'm just going to call him Spellaski from now on.
Spellaski. Like, yeah, just to make it work.
Mahaffey Max says the low trade score for Davidson could be for, quote, failing to get those draft day trades done the past 2 years. Not saying it's justified or that I agree, but would have been nice to get that Demidov trade
Blame
done.
Pat for Beek.
Yeah, I mean,
that trade was ready to go if he was going to take Caden Lindstrom like he should have.
Yeah,
right.
Jerk, little weird looking jerk.
Yeah, I mean, failed. I mean, he
I'll
was
never
aggressive.
say that to his face.
the little ball.
He failed, quote unquote,
Yeah.
but at least Davidson was aggressive out there, trying to move up to get Oliver Moore, make sure he got his guy, trying to be like, let's try and get Levshinov and Demidov both and not have to worry about one or the other. Like, let's try and do it. Like, I give him the credit for trying to be aggressive and making those moves.
And someone else referenced Ben Pope's thing about not having a second star forward. That was the effort to do that with Demidov. Was
They,
say
our diehard Discord channel are not happy with Mr. Pope
really
after that.
Well,
article. How dare you criticize?
Well,
no,
I mean,
he's
I
not
get his
wrong.
point
I
is
get what
correct,
Ben,
but
yeah, I get what Ben's saying. He's laying out there that, you know, the Blackhawks are trying to come out of the tanking phase of things, but they're not necessarily, every box is not checked in their prospect system. Like, they
Right.
still need to do a couple things, but I think this year, given the fact that they're very likely in the lottery, very likely to have good odds in the lottery, even though they're going to be an improved team, you can get a guy that checks that, like, stud forward behind Bedard. If it's not a Oliver Moore or a Frank Nazar, you can get another guy that could check that box right away in a top 10 pick. So I get what Ben's trying to say, is that they're kind of trying to go forward without having everything done, but they could still get it done.
well, and I'll say this too, and in response to Ben, whose point about the forward, I understand, but you're ignoring the fact that you've drafted potentially 3 number 1 defensemen with Alex Vlasic, Artem Levshinov, and maybe Kevin Korchinski. If all those guys max out,
Oh, yeah.
like,
That'd be great.
you've got 3 stud defensemen.
Mhm.
And are all 3 going to max out? Probably not. But you feel pretty great about Vlasic.
Yeah.
And what people liked about Levshinov was this is a guy who's not going to fail. He's going to be really good for a long time. It's just a matter of how good.
To your point, you say Vlasic, Korchinski, Levshinov, and Sam Renzel all hit their ceiling. That's
Sure.
would be amazing luck, but say
Right.
they do. You've got 4 stud defensemen. What can you do with 4 stud defensemen?
Trade
one
them.
of them to get
Yes.
your star forward. There
Yeah,
are
you could
options.
do that.
You don't have to necessarily have your own, your star forwards from within. You'd prefer it because then you get all those years of cost control.
Mhm.
But it's. I'm not saying Ben's article was wrong, but man, as I'm just saying, in our diehard Discord, for about 10 minutes, I think he might have passed a certain other beat writer as the least popular beat
Wow.
writer.
I didn't
But
think
then
that
I
was
think they
possible.
came back to their senses and were like, "Oh, we like Ben."
Yeah,
But
Ben's a good dude.
it's
Um,
sometimes people don't like reading the truth.
Well, to the point, too, about making a trade, we have seen the premium on top defensemen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can go find a guy that's going to score you 40 goals and much easier than you're going to find a number 1 defenseman. And if the Hawks have 3, potentially 4 of those guys that would qualify as number 1 defenseman, again, we're not saying they've got 4 Cale Makars.
Right.
No one does, right? But if you got 4 guys that are legitimate top pair dudes, you trade one of them to get that second forward
Mm-hmm.
to help out, and the value of a number 1 defenseman is much higher than the value of a top forward.
Yep.
So, just because of basic supply and demand, really,
Right.
the
yeah.
elite defensemen aren't as common as the elite forwards.
Yeah. And I mean, look, like, maybe they're not guys that are entering their peaks, but Nashville signed 2 40-goal scorers in free agency with Stamkos and Marchessault. So,
Right.
It can be done in different ways.
That's right.
Yep.
All right, we're going to be back tomorrow at 2:30 with another show. Like we said yesterday, give it 24 hours.
Yeah, it could be some review previews tomorrow.
We could do that.
Tentatively plan on that.
And I like what we are. We ready to reveal our top 10 Thursdays?
Sure.
What we were planning on
Yes,
doing?
we're going to do, since we're getting closer, the closest we've been to the training camp since yesterday. For the next 6 Thursdays, we're going to tackle the best players in the league right now. We're going to do every position, starting with goalies this Thursday, and then we'll end it with best top 10 players in the league today. And then by then, we'll be getting ready for rookie camp and training camp. And
Yay.
so, yes, Thursday
Let's
will
go.
be top 10 goalies in the NHL right now.
Right now.
Very exciting.
Number 1, Peter Mrazek. Number 1B, Laurent Brossois.
Yes.
Exactly. Thanks for the like
Adam
spike,
Gaijan.
Dash Law. Thank you for reminding us. Please do a like spike right now. 68 likes. That's not enough.
We need at least one more.
Yeah, at least one more to
would
make
be
it a
nice.
nice Tuesday. But hit that button for us before you go. And, of course, if you haven't yet, make sure you are subscribed. And I do have to tell everybody, by the way, we had a little technical error earlier about our friends at FOCO. FOCO is your spot for hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. And if you're going to a Cubs or a Sox game or getting ready for the fall sports, winter sports, get your team-branded friendship bracelets. Don't let Drew McIntyre take that away. That'll end your life.
He might put it on his junk.
Absolutely. But jackets, beachwear, overalls, crotchless chaps, whatever you want, they've got them for you at FOCO, including a Connor Bedard bobblehead of Connor Bedard holding a Connor Bedard bobblehead. Yep, you can get that at FOCO. Check out FOCO.com or click the link in our description below for all non-presale items. Use the promo code CHGO10 for 10% off. Again, that's FOCO.com, promo code CHGO10. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow at 2:30 right here on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.